Morning, it's Tracy Fink with the Tortoise Institute, and it's another edition of Wednesday Wisdom. So, today we're going to talk about a component of emotional intelligence, and I know many of you know I teach emotional intelligence. This can all be learned, everything I teach can be learned. Today we're going to talk about self compassion, which is under the self management pillar of emotional intelligence. So, it's how do we manage some of these persistent emotions like self-doubt or not feeling motivated after a failure or a setback. So one of the ways that we can do this is by offering some kindness to ourselves. And this isn't just like, oh, this feels good, so it works. So there's some scientific research behind this. Much of the research was done by Dr. Kristen Neff at the University of Texas at Austin, and she puts self-compassion as an acceptance practice, and there's three components to it. So, by acceptance practice, I mean like, this happened, whatever the failure or setback is, and how can we be with what happens, not what we wish it was, but actually what is. So there's the mindfulness piece of it. So it's like being with what happened without adding to it, not getting over attached to it or creating more drama. This happened. Okay, happened. Not denying it. The second component is this idea of common humanity, that we are likely not the only one that this has happened to, some kind of failure, some kind of setback, some kind of way that we fell down. So how can we tune in to this common humanity, not like I'm the only one, poor me. No, it's other people. So there's the mindfulness, there's a common humanity, and the third component is this idea of kindness. Really paying attention to the words and the tone that we use when we talk to ourselves after we've had a failure or a setback. So I know you know what I'm talking about. It's the tone of you loser, you're not good enough, you're the only one that this has happened to. So that's not helpful. And it doesn't have to be that way, except that we're wired for negative. We've only learned how to talk to ourselves that way. We think that if we talk kindly to ourselves, then we're not going to do the work. We're not going to put ourselves out there. However, there is research that supports that people who are kind to themselves, they were given a series of tests, and some of the research that was found at the University of California at Berkeley, very famous test around self-compassion, they found that people who were kind to themselves were in fact more motivated to study hard after a setback. They were more quick to forgive themselves, more likely to ask for help, and more quick to adopt a growth mindset, which means I'm not there yet, but I'll get there. So there's science around this idea of being kind to ourselves. Except the problem, I know for me, was that my workplace and society did not value kindness or self-compassion. And so I never saw it in action until I learned it myself. I never learned how to do it by somebody modeling that behavior. I never saw anybody admit their common humanity with a sense of kindness towards themselves. That was not a behavior that was modeled. But when I learned this, I really vowed that this would be something that I would share, that I would model, that I would show people that you can be kind to yourself and be successful. So this is a practice. It's simple, but it's not easy. I know that many of you can do this because the likelihood of you doing it for somebody else is pretty high. The fact that the likelihood, that somebody had come to you and said, I'm at a low point, I screwed up, I'm sure that you offered them that kindness and tenderness so that they felt supported and that they felt resilient to bounce back. So the invitation today is turning that onto yourself and offering yourself that kindness, those words, that tone, that ability to be with what is and come back in a in a way that was stronger than how you were before. So again, try it. It's simple but not easy, and I know you can do it. If you have any questions or any doubts, message me below, and I'll see you next week.